Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning for you, but it's evening for me, and mentioning Vietnam, it's night in Vietnam. They are what, like +6, +7.
I
So,
I know, but Robin Williams never cared. It didn't matter what time of day he got on the air. It was always good morning, Vietnam. So
so
yeah.
very true. Well, pleasure to having you today, Derek. For those who are just joining and not familiar, today we're having Reef Chain as our guest for this session, and we have Derek, who is their operations lead. Before we start, I'll just quickly go over the format. We will go over the pre-picked questions from Twitter or X these days. Then we will open up the chat for live ones. The whole thing should take about an hour, give or take. And we will
Yep.
also be posting several recaps afterwards, both voice recaps on YouTube and a text recap on our content channels. And before we kick off with the questions, Derek, could you please give us a brief introduction about yourself, how you got involved with the project?
Yeah, of course. The name is Derek Silva. I've been in the industry for about 6.5 years now, full time. I've worked with a variety of projects over the years, including Bloom Protocol, Orchid, Hero, who else? A failed derivatives exchange called Alpha 5. Not everything's a success, obviously. Typically as a community manager, community growth person, sometimes social media management, writing tweets and stuff like that. Definitely produced lots of content over the last few years, in terms of like blog posts, video tutorials, stuff like that. So I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. And for the last 3 years, I've been working with Reef Chain in a variety of aspects. First, it was just writing announcements on the fly, like literally day of. The same day the announcement was supposed to go out, sometimes the day before, and then more and more taking over then we took over the Discord server, running that community, a team and I, and then for the last, I don't know, I guess year and a half, 2 years, the operations lead, trying to steer Reef into a positive position in terms of having, a comprehensive ecosystem in place. We're still working at that. And we needed to give our devs a little bit more time in order to kind of get the baseline stuff done in a good position to build on. It's definitely easier than ever to build on Reef Chain today. And despite some of the news this week, which I know we will touch on, we're here, we're working, we're trying to make things happen, and head in a positive direction where we have a comprehensive set of applications and protocols on chain that people can use and have some fun with in a really easy way.
Awesome, fascinating. Thank you for that intro, Derek. And it's a true pleasure having you guys on today. We've been partnering with Reef for quite some time, and there's a lot of exciting things coming soon, both from Reef and StealthEX, and the co-joint effort as well. Well, without further ado, let's start off with the questions. In what ways does Reef Chain plan to implement on-chain upgradability, and how does this benefit the long-term sustainability of the network?
Yeah, so newsflash, I guess, for some people, we already have on-chain upgradability. The chain itself is actually deployed through binaries, upgradable binaries, and we, like the core team, tech governance can issue those, whenever needed, and whoever's running a Reef node on mainnet or testnet, if it's something that needs to be tested first, a bigger update, then that just goes out and the servers automatically update. So we completely avoid this whole potential for a hard fork or even a soft fork type issue here that Ethereum has run into the past, or fears in the past. And obviously we have Ethereum POW still, but that was because of the DAO hack and whether people should, whether Ethereum should roll it back or not. But we've seen lots of situations over the years where Bitcoin Core is updated, Ethereum is updated, Polygon, Avalanche, etc. get updated, or Binance or BNB chain. And, there's always at least a little tiny bit of fear about whether everybody upgrades on time, all the validators, all the node operators, and, whether there's going to be a hard fork or not. So we just completely bypass this issue thanks to the Substrate architecture, and a new binary gets rolled out. Nodes automatically get updated with the latest software, and things just kind of continue on. And of course, we can always test that in testnet to make sure that it happens smoothly, properly before rolling changes like that out to mainnet. So.
Very cool. Yeah, it's always we always like to throw the questions that are pretty obvious, but because just people do not do their research or due diligence very well, it's always nice to kind of throw those in. But yeah, great you mentioning the issues that we've seen in the past with hard forks such as Ethereum forks, and there's so many chains that did that, and it always hurts them one way or another. So it's great to have that seamless upgradability that you guys have. All right.
Yeah.
More questions on how does Reef Chain envision its role in the broader blockchain ecosystem, particularly in relation to Ethereum and other layer 1 solutions?
I think our big differentiating factor is, we're finally on this path now with some of the recent releases, but is really going to be super easy UX. And I mean that from kind of start to finish. So getting Reef on an exchange or a fiat on ramp, sending it straight to the right chain, not having to worry about bridging, and then just having a really nice interface to start using dApps on Reef chain. We've pardon me, the mobile app still needs some fixes here and there. It's really on V1, but it's pretty easy to use. You can easily import a wallet, create a new wallet, back it up using a variety of methods that you have your choice of, and even start using ReefSwap right in the mobile app, which is terrific. There's a fiat on-ramp option built in there in case you don't have any Reef tokens on the chain yet. We make it easy to connect an EVM address on Reef chain right in the mobile app. That functionality is literally just built right in. Even our browser extension, it's a fork of Polkadot.js, so we're building on some pretty poor UX in the original app, but we've improved that a lot. And I know that the devs have a beta version of a much easier to use browser extension that would make it really easy to get logged in using centralized ID providers, and kind of avoid some of the historical issues we have with making a new wallet or logging into an application that we've seen up until now. So that's super important, and it's super important from a variety of aspects, in the sense that you don't have to bridge to get tokens onto Reef chain, or at least that's the ideal goal. And we do have centralized exchanges and StealthEX, of course, if you don't want a KYC, or if you want make sure you get the best offer available, go through StealthEX. We just put out a tutorial last week on how to use it in detail, start to finish. So using StealthEX is terrific, and and just kind of from start to finish, okay, I want to the thought you have of I want to use this app. It's on Reef chain. How do I get from point A to point B? We want to make that process super short, super easy, so that there's just not a lot of complex thought process or research that needs to go into it. I need tokens. I have a place to get tokens. I put them in my wallet. I log in, go. That's I think will still be part of our unique selling or unique value proposition. And otherwise, a chain that just doesn't need a ton of tweaking and L2s and ZK at this point to scale. It's a fast chain from day one. It can scale at the layer one level still. We're very confident in that with, if we make a few tweaks to things like the compute time, the block time, even the block size. And, if we need to add privacy and that sort of thing, then we can look into ZK infrastructure and building that on top. But those would be, more privacy specific things instead of having to worry about, does the chain scale? The chain scales just fine, or the chain can handle a lot of transactions right now, just fine. If we get there, then we'll start worrying about messing with core settings, or deploying some ZK technology to remove some of that storage from the chain itself. But at this point, it works really well. It's fairly easy to use, and we're always looking for ways to help improve that.
Awesome, great to hear that. I feel that it's just a general sort of direction in the whole industry is to making UI UX more accessible because, if you've been in crypto for long enough, we've all dealt with some horrible onboarding processes, especially, for people who were never into crypto, just doing something that it seems so trivial for us, like just like going into your wallet, such as MetaMask, and doing all those transactions, having the Tron to send your USDT on Tron, right? For example, it just seems so trivial for us, but for the people to be onboarded, it's usually not such an easy process because you have to deal with all this information all at the same time, and it's always great to see projects just trying to ease that process and just make usage simple as using your mobile banking app. That's I think is the future that we are heading to, and it looks bright from what I can see so far.
Yeah, that's pretty much the goal. Just super easy user experience. And like I said, from that start of I want to use this app, from that thought process to getting into the app and completing your first transaction. That should take a few minutes at the most.
Yeah, absolutely. That should not be a hassle for sure. And we at StealthEX glad to be part of that and part of the, that all inclusivity aspect of things.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and we're glad you're here for that for the ride as well.
Thank you. All right, let's continue with the questions. Can all Ethereum-based DeFi applications be seamlessly ported to Reef chain without code modifications? Are there any potential limitations to consider?
So at the smart contract layer, yes, super easy to do. You really don't need to do any major modifications. Obviously, you want to make sure your secrets are secret still. Environment level things are still, remain as private as they were before. The major changes will be on the front end and connecting your app to the Reef RPC. Our Ethereum RPC is a little bit different from other ones. But if you've built on a Kala before, we use that model since a few years ago. And so from that perspective, it's, we didn't really break any ground. We didn't do something that's drastically different from other chains. We just didn't implement the perfectly standard Ethereum RPC, which really nobody else has other than Ethereum. Everybody's is a little bit different. Polygon's is different. Avalanche's is different. They're all missing features or missing certain RPC calls and things like that. But, it's an Ethereum compatible RPC for sure. But it takes a little bit of adaptation in order to get your existing front end to connect to Reef chain compared to connecting to Ethereum on its own. Honestly, it takes about a week total, and I've heard that from multiple developers. If you want to port X app, not X, if you want to port a specific app over to Reef from Ethereum or Polygon. Yes, somebody's going to have to spend some time updating the front end code, or maybe writing a new instance so that it's not you're not having any conflicts with the Ethereum specific code. But it's certainly doable. You guys have done it on your app. We have multiple exchanges that have integrated Reef Chain right into their core exchange. Squidscan.fun is a great application that lets you see swaps on ReefSwap. Obviously, ReefSwap exists. That's a Uniswap v2 fork. You can go through GitHub, see the changes we made to the Uniswap v2 contracts. And obviously, on the front end, it connects to Reef instead of Ethereum. So, it's definitely doable. It would take you probably about a week for most applications. And, obviously it will help you market the heck out of it once you've deployed on chain. We can even help you to market a test net so that, you get a chance to really stress test your application and make sure it's working perfectly.
Awesome, great. Yeah, it's definitely important to, be inclusive not only to the users but to the developers as well. Funny that we can't use X as an example now, just because this is X now.
Yeah, we're literally on X right now. So
Yeah.
a Z app, Y app,
Z,
I don't know,
Y
X, Y,
app.
Z.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Alrighty, let's hop on to the next question. Can you elaborate on the role of the Reef token in the Reef chain ecosystem, specifically in terms of staking and governance? How does it contribute to the integrity and functionality of the network?
So the big thing that it does is that, I guess similar to ETH or Ether on Ethereum, you need Reef in order to pay for gas fees. All gas fees on Reef are burnt. We don't have a portion going back to the block builder or anything like that, or the block validator or proposer or what have you, like you see in the other ecosystems. So all Reef that get used up by swaps, by staking, by whatever, get burnt. So we have probably thousands now being burnt thanks to Reef swap transactions every day. It's usually about 5 or 6 Reef to complete a transaction on a Reef swap. And so those all get that your 5 Reef or 6 Reef that you spend to process that transaction, those all get burnt. In terms of staking, so all validators have to put up at least a little bit of Reef on their own self-stake in order to get a validator up and running. And then they can, if they, to get into the top 23 validator slots, based on number of Reef staked, they can either do that themselves. They can stake their own, if they have about 100 million or so, lying around, or they acquire it, or they can work on attracting other, community members, nominators, to, stake their tokens with those validators. Validators, it's not necessarily easy to do that sort of attraction. You do have to engage some marketing, some community engagement, convince people to do that, have a competitive commission cut, so that the validators or the nominators, feel like they're going to get something out of it, while also making sure you cover your costs, because you need a server, you have time put into that. You want to make sure you're bringing in at least enough income to pay for your server and, a little bit more on top of that. So Reef is all used there. We don't have community governance at this point. I'd like to get there, obviously, hopefully this year, maybe next at the latest. But that's definitely a part of our future here, where more role or more governance is taken by the community, and therefore everybody has a say in a variety of things. When updates get rolled out, maybe on chain, grant rewards, grant proposals, things like that. And obviously, if you roll out a protocol where Reef is like the core token, then, you could roll out community governance based on Reef tokens, staked in your protocol or something like that. So, that's entirely up to you.
Great. Well, since we've touched upon the validation aspect, would you want to shine some light on what's currently going on in terms of validations and the activities that we have running?
Yeah, so as I said, there's 23 validators right now, active validators. There are more waiting. Um, I'm just going to load up the console here. Network, staking. I see the number of validators. There we go. So there's 22 waiting. So we have a total queue of about 55 validators. Total active nominations, not unique nominators, active nominations, 1,161 across those 23 validators. And wow, yeah, some things have really improved since since I provided a little bit of alpha to the community the other day. So I had shared some information in Telegram and Discord, which subsequently went out on X about some really, really easy opportunities for people to start earning some Reef. We had a validator with 0% commission, so all the rewards go out to the nominators. That was sitting at basically about half full. I think it was at 33 or 34 nominators out of a potential 64. Now they're at 61, so that's really cool to see. But still, they have room. And the smallest validator there is only staking 2 Reef. So that's actually pretty funny, that they're in the top 64 and they're only staking 2 Reef. But hey, it's kind of a free market in that way. And some other ones where the smallest validator was really, really small. So this past Monday, we had already been planning this out for a couple of weeks, but this past Monday we launched a campaign to try and reach 1,000 unique nominators. As I alluded to earlier, we had some news from that impacted the Reef ecosystem in terms, or when it comes to Binance, and a little bit of a follow on from that with Crypto.com and Bitvevo proceeding to delist Reef, which is obviously disappointing. But since then, things have definitely stabilized. So we started that campaign with a little over 800 validators, unique nominators. And now we are sitting, it went down as low as, I think it was 600 or so. And now we're back up to over 712, or we're at 712. So, like I said, things definitely seem to have stabilized. We're in a pretty good position here. That campaign's ongoing. And you need to do a few different things in order to qualify. You need to follow Reef. You need to follow Fearless Wallet. They are one of our partners in this. We're using the unique nominator number from their app to qualify when we hit that 1,000 unique nominators milestone. One optional way to get an additional entry into the prize, which I'll get into in a second, is to follow StealthEX on X. And you need to do a few different things. You need to stake at least 25,000 Reef, which right now it's not going to cost you much. I'll get a number on that in a second. 25,000, $20, $20.10, depending on where you buy it, will get you 25,000 Reef. So a little over $20 US. We'll get you 25,000 Reef. If you stake at least 25,000 using Fearless Wallet, whether that's an existing stake or one that you import, like you import the wallet from Reef's browser extension over to Fearless, that's fine too. But basically, we're trying to show people just how easy it is to stake Reef. So for a little over $20, obviously you need to leave some Reef in your wallet, pardon me, so that you can pay for transactions like the bonding, the staking transaction. So I'd probably buy about 26,000, let's say. That would be the smart thing to do. That's still less than $21. So let's say you spend $21, you buy 25 or 26,000 and some Reef. You make your stake. I show you in that YouTube tutorial earlier how to pick a validator as well. And then I show you how to not only use StealthEX to get your Reef into your Reef wallet on Fearless, but how to use Fearless to actually complete that stake with your chosen validator. So that whole thing is like 10 minutes long. It doesn't take you a lot of time. Even if you need a little extra time, you're waiting for transactions to happen. Obviously, I cut some of the time off because you don't want to sit there and watch a swap go through. 20 minutes of your time um, will get you your stake, and once we reach that 1,000 nominators milestone, we're going to give away 25,000 Reef. So at this point, that's worth about $20. We feel like, if more people are buying Reef and staking it, that will only be a positive thing for the ecosystem and for everybody. And yeah, and the prize pot grows by 500 Reef per day. So actually, we've been doing this for a few days now, so we're actually at 27,000 Reef. That's how much somebody would win if they took it home today. And it's going to continue to grow. I suspect it'll probably hit over 30,000 Reef before we give this away, maybe even 40. I can't control other people obviously, nor do I want to. Everybody is free to make the decision of whether they want to participate or not. But this is just phase one of this campaign. After 1,000, we have another milestone we'd like to reach. That'll have at least double the prize, at least 50,000 Reef, and after that, we'll set another milestone, and that is going to have 100,000 Reef on the line, potentially more. So, we're just getting started here. We want to see the number of on-chain active wallets grow, which it has significantly this week, actually. So that's been terrific to see. And the prize keeps growing every day. So we hope people will start using the chain some more. We've gained almost 2,000 active accounts on Reef Chain just this week. So that's been significant growth for us as a relatively small ecosystem. And we're really sorry. Can you still hear me? A phone call just came in. I had to
Yeah,
hang
you broke in for a second, but all good now.
up. All right. I'll talk to Maria later about not calling me in the middle of the day. But yeah, that's what we're doing. So, in a nutshell, in case I got a little too rambly there, um, uh, if you stake at least 25,000 Reef and you submit a screenshot showing us that you did it, or are managing your stake through Fearless Wallet, send us the transaction, follow a couple of accounts on X, you're in. You got 4 steps. It'll take you less than 20 minutes to accomplish. And then you can get additional entries to win the prize by following StealthEX, by tweeting about the contest or the campaign and stuff like that. We've got a link to Gleam.io in a recent post on X and on Telegram and on Discord and on Reddit and our blog. So yeah, it's all the resources are all there. And if you have questions, join the Telegram group, join the Discord server. One of the moderators will definitely help you with that.
Great. Thank you for a very extensive answer to that, and I'm sure I'm sure that right now, probably from the user standpoint, right? Because we've seen some price drops due to the situation with the centralized exchanges, right? It's probably a great time to get into. But yeah, absolutely. I'm always happy to see projects while they going through the process of being delisted from those major players are still striving, and we've seen this past year actually a lot of different projects have been delisted from those major exchanges. We're not going to obviously name the exchanges or the projects, but we've seen them not dying and actually thriving, and it's, for me personally, it's a great indicator that we as an industry becoming more mature and less reliant on those institutional, entities such as those tier one
Yeah.
exchanges, and just by becoming self-sustainable, self-sufficient, and in a truly decentralized manner, as it all was intended to be from the beginning, right?
Yeah,
So
for sure.
it's definitely an interesting dynamic, and of course we all understand, it comes primarily from the regulatory framework that kind of tightens the screws for everybody. But it's definitely interesting to see the way that the industry is shifting towards to more, you know, truly decentralized way rather than being dependent on that, institutional solutions.
Yeah.
Alrighty, we have plenty more questions left. Let's breeze through them. What are the next steps? Oh, hold on, I jumped for one. Why did you decide to build Reef chain as a layer 1 blockchain instead of a layer 2 that will scale on Ethereum, which will be easier to onboard developers and more users?
So I think the easiest answer there is almost nobody was thinking about L2s 3 years ago. And personally, I'm only going to speak for myself. I can't speak for Denko, Furion, the other core developers. But kind of like I said, at least for a while there, we saw a really, really hard time. It was really, really hard for L2s to get listed and get their chains connected to centralized exchanges and to fiat on ramps. So yeah, that's definitely become easier in the last little bit. But again, 3 years ago, who could foresee that? The only L2 that was running at the time, at least that I remember, was Polygon. And Polygon was doing just fine. I don't think anybody saw a real special need to go beyond what Polygon was doing 3 years ago. So I think that's the easiest answer. And then, we had already changed from this chain aggregator, liquidity aggregator, DeFi operating system vision to an L1 that would be theoretically a little bit more scalable and flexible and not be specific to DeFi. Also because, after DeFi summer, DeFi looked like it was dying for a little while there. And obviously it has persisted and it has iterated. And hindsight is always 2020. And so could Reef had stayed as the DeFi operating system? It could have, and it probably would have been fine. But DeFi trends come and go. You'd constantly be chasing liquidity and DeFi projects to come over and to stay, and running incentives like crazy in order to make sure that liquidity stayed where we could connect to it. Yeah, so it could have been a winning proposition. It still could have been a really losing proposition to be so focused on DeFi specifically. I know that there's another, I guess you'd call it an L2 that's kind of working on that. And to be honest, I don't know how much success they're having at it. Maybe they're doing great. But I have seen the DeFi operating system terms being thrown around by another project. I don't remember the name right now, lately. So over the last 6 months. So why not an L2? Nobody was talking about L2s 3 years ago. I don't think anybody foresaw the need to have 10, 20 L2s all running on Ethereum, all competing for finalization block space, all competing for liquidity, for users, etc. Yeah, so, it is what it is. Cello is also, moving from L1 to L2. I don't think that's going spectacularly for them. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you have special insights, I don't. But I don't see that making a huge change in their fortunes. And, that's one that's focused on mobile users only, or at least they're focused on mobile users and bringing people who only have mobile devices into their ecosystem. So, everybody has their niche that they're trying to carve out, and everybody's doing it to various degrees of success. So, we are where we are. Not going to look back on the past every day, and just trying to focus on what we have in place and what we can have in place in the near future, and head in that direction.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I think in general, adaptability is just the key to be sustainable and and to thrive. Because if you don't adapt, you will eventually fall off and die. And 3 years ago, Ethereum was a very, very different ecosystem 3 years ago as of
For
now,
sure.
right? So it was a completely different world, and it's just definitely things are going so rapid. So it's definitely key to adaptability is the key. It's just the key takeaway for me personally when it comes to different iterations of Ethereum based chains specifically. All right, we still have some questions to breeze through. Let's do that because we are kind of getting short on time. I don't want to hold you for more than we have to, obviously, but I still want to get some live questions in as well. What are the next steps for Reef Chain Wallet and Reef Swap in terms of future developments and upgrades? Can you outline any planned features or improvements that are expected to enhance the functionality and user experience of these products?
Yeah, so Reef Chain Wallet, there's some like system level things that we only found out after we deployed on, actually deployed it through the App Store or through the Play Store, sorry. There's like, you're using this alarm thing, and it's causing issues for people on Android 14. That didn't come up in testing. Nobody really raised, a major, how do you put it? Uh, um, Bug reports, about that sort of thing. So I know the devs have been working on stuff like that the Play Store code analysis, and crash analysis, those metrics, basically user metrics, have come in and provided for us. I guess I can leak a little alpha here. Now's a good time. The developers have actually started integrating StealthEX directly into the mobile app. So what does that mean? That means that you'll be able to swap crypto to crypto, like Bitcoin to Reef, ETH to Reef, Matic. Well, today it's Matic. I guess next month it'll be POL. Whatever. Any supported token from through StealthEX right in the mobile app. So again, this is one of those ways that we make it really, really easy for people to get into the ecosystem, swap out your shit coins, and come into Reef. Whatever shitcoin StealthEX has supported. I'm not sure how many there are, to be honest. But
we support a lot. Like pretty much anything that even gets a glimpse of attention, a glimpse of liquidity, you can probably find it on StealthEX, and you can probably swap it to anything you want. You can go to another, funny asset that has some attention, or you can go to something more serious, or you can go to Reef, obviously.
Obviously, yeah. So so StealthEX will be built right into the mobile app. I don't know how long that's going to take, but I know the APIs are all there. We've done on-ramp money built in for some users wherever on-ramp money is supported. And so that's a big thing that'll be coming to the mobile app soon. Reef Swap still needs some enhancements being made. Let me actually pull up, and these are all community driven, or at least most of them are. One sec. Ba-bum, bum, ba-bum. Just loading up our project management app here for Reef Swap. Which ones have we closed out already? So things like, and again, I don't know why, but pagination on show transactions, that wasn't working. That got fixed a few weeks ago. Displaying the available Reef balance instead of your total balance. So because you can stake or bond your Reef to a validator, Reef Swap was showing you the total Reef balance in your account, which wasn't all swappable. So, that's annoying. So we made a change to show just your available Reef balance. We can still make some more enhancements to that to make it a little bit clearer what we're showing you, but that's a lot more helpful than seeing your total balance because you can't swap your total balance if you've bonded some of it to a validator, staked it. So that's been nice. We had some data loading issues for whatever reason that got all fixed up. We added additional information to the tokens, so that's all good. We've been working on some other bug fixes like fixing token icons. That's an Infura IPFS related issue. Adding sorting options to the pools page, highly requested. We do that. I think what it is, we do that server side. And so we need to make basically some enhancements on the server side of things, re-index that data, and therefore people will be able to sort by descending, ascending, TVL, 24-hour volume, things like that. That is in the works. Oh, the unstake button was appearing on pools that you had never staked in before. I don't know why, but that got fixed as well. So, we've been taking our feedback from the community, making changes there. We still have some more enhancements to make. And then obviously we'll continue to make the user interface really, really easy to use. That's all code level stuff. Marketing wise, obviously it's possible to launch a token on Reef now, or it's been possible to do for a long time, but now you actually have a place to launch it, to swap it, create your liquidity pool. And, once we've been talking to Denko and some others recently about how we can either attract some DAO infrastructure to the chain, a launch pool, other. I'm not going to call basic because I don't mean basic as in like simple, but like baseline critical infrastructure that we need on chain. Get that over to the chain, hopefully all before the end of the year. I've got an idea on how to do that. We've got some really, really great community members who want to work with us on that. We've had some other ideas on how to fund that, so it's not coming from runway that's needed for the core developers and marketers and community managers. So, we're taking all that really, really seriously right now. And like I said, trying to move us in the right direction going forward. But yeah, Reef Chain Wallet's getting some big enhancements. Reef Swap's getting some enhancements still that the community has asked for. And we'll keep working with them and, taking their ideas as seriously as we can.
Awesome. That's great to hear. And we at StealthEX are very excited about the common integration as well. We do believe that the ease of access to some niche chains is something that is rather crucial. Just because, people don't have to go through the hassle of bridging, or, if you're a non-custodial user, going to the process of uploading your funds to the centralized exchange, doing your swapping there, taking them back out to your wallet. It's always a pain, especially, always requiring to go through all the formal processes. Definitely not a pleasant process. So we're definitely here to, aside from being a privacy-oriented service, definitely we are a user-friendly oriented service, and definitely looking to, work closely with Reef and hope to onboard a lot more users to the chain.
So the future, like I said, we've gained about 10%, like 10% more wallets this week alone. So that's great progress. If we can keep doing that over the next few months, we're going to be in six figures, and we'll have a really poppin' ecosystem by then.
Awesome. And we'll make sure to continue doing activities with you guys that will only reinforce that growth. Anyways, let's continue with the questions because we still want to hop on the live ones. Let's keep that one we kind of touched upon. Okay, this one. I see that Reef Chain is built on Substrate. Can you elaborate the specific advantages this brings compared to other blockchain frameworks? How does it impact Reef Chain's upgradability and potential for future development?
Yeah, so right out the gate, it brought scalability. The EVM, the Ethereum Virtual Machine, runs on Substrate faster than it does by itself, on the actual Ethereum blockchain, which is obviously kind of weird. But I think it's due to the Rust underpinning of Substrate. The Rust, I don't know. I don't know how to code in Rust. I just know that it's picked up a lot of steam over the last 5-6 years. And, Substrate was built with Rust from day one, at least partially because it would make the chains built on top of the Substrate technology faster. It's kind of like switching from PHP for your web-based application to Go. It's just you can do more or less the same thing. It's a very different language, but it runs a lot faster in general. PHP's improved a lot in the last few years as well, but we're not here to get into a software or a programming language flame war. So choosing Substrate helped with scalability from day one. 450, 500 transactions per second is it's pretty easily done on Reef with the current parameters we have in place. So that's one big reason. The other big reason is that it allows us to run other virtual machines on Reef. We are not there today, and I don't see a huge need for it today, but we could run a WebAssembly virtual machine on top. We could, and therefore give you the ability to run Rust smart contracts on top. And so those could be other ones built on Substrate chains already. I'm going to say there maybe is the potential then to run like a Solana VM on top of Reef if we needed to, stuff like that. And, in terms of impacting Reef chains upgradability, I guess I just touched upon that. We can run other virtual machines on top of Reef, make it really easy for people to deploy their existing smart contracts, whether they're Solidity-based, Rust-based, etc., on Reef. And, and like I said before, that makes us more flexible. Instead of targeting one specific niche, instead of saying you can only deploy Solidity smart contracts on Reef, we have a future where you could do more than that, and be able to cater to and attract developers from other ecosystems. Otherwise, we have that on-chain upgradability for the nodes themselves. Like I said, you roll out a binary, the validators pick it up, they automatically switch over to it, and we're off onto version 11 of Reef or version 12 of Reef. And that's a lot more easily done with Reef than it is with with Ethereum or an Ethereum fork.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for debunking that, because I think with those technical questions, people generally, myself to be honest included, kind of floating out there and not necessarily knowing the differences between the frameworks and the underlying things about it. All right, we have 2 more questions left, and then we will go to the live ones. What are the plans for expanding the availability of Reef Chain Wallet to other platforms such as iOS, and how does the development timeline for those releases align with the goals of Reef Chain? Can you discuss any potential challenges or considerations in this rollout?
Yeah, so we submitted Reef Chain Wallet to Apple at the same time we submitted it to Google. The main difference is that Google has 99% automated checks. Just looking for basically doing code level analysis of behavior, of the number of crashes the app might cause, things like that. Looking for malicious code, obviously. Apple has a 99% manual verification process. The issue, honestly, I can only guess at what the issue is with Apple, because they don't tell you specifically what the problem is. They'll send you their policies and they'll tell you that you're violating them, and you have to explain why you're not violating them, or where there's precedent for what you're doing already in the App Store. And then they raise another issue. So it's kind of this never-ending cycle of things they say is wrong with your app, or how you submitted it, or what have you, and you having to submit why it's okay. And the worst part is, it's much, much worse for cryptocurrency apps. But the really crappy thing is that I ran into this issue years ago, working at a traditional everyday web development agency or web app development agency, with the first app we have built for a company called Refuel. And the whole thing there was you could literally go into the app. Let's say your car's sitting in the driveway. You've got 5 liters of gas. You're not going to get very far. But you're super busy and you're like running around town. You're like downtown Toronto, Vancouver, or whatever, Atlanta. You're doing your thing. Or, you're just out for the day, maybe with some friends. You need gas when you get home. You could go into Refuel and ask for a small tanker truck to come and refuel your car in your driveway. I loved it. I was like, I need this. or even when you were at work. So like you're running late, you go straight to work, you might not make it home. They'd come refuel your car in the parking lot. We had issues with that app. I think it was a payment issue. And it's like, well, guys, if we give you 30% on this gasoline, like the gasoline list literally costs 30% more, and then it's not competitive anymore. So we went back and forth with them about that issue, and eventually it got all sorted out. But it's like Apple, at least in my experience, always finds a reason to reject an app on day one, and you need to negotiate with them and go back and forth a bunch of times, and they're incredibly slow at responding. They definitely run at I'm Portuguese, and my girlfriend's Colombian. They run on Portuguese time or Colombian time. It's like, we'll get to it when we get to it. It's like, it's just super annoying. So, yeah, when will it be available on the App Store? Whenever Apple lets us publish it. And, we've said like, oh, if this is the issue, we'll fix it like this. If it's this other issue, we'll fix it like this. And they don't tell you whether that's the issue or not. So yeah, very, very frustrating. And it'll be on iOS App Store when it's on the iOS App Store. Oh, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah, I feel everyone who's ever dealt with the iOS store definitely felt the pain. Our application has been scheduled to release for 2 years now, and we're pretty much facing the same exact process that you've just described. It's identical here. It's definitely endless back and forth, and it's definitely on some very very non-rush timing for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, definitely very very specific. But the issue is that still vast majority runs Apple, so you kind of, and then if they you have to be able to deal with it, sadly. But it is what it is.
Yeah. So we get the short end of the stick. I'm very confident we'll get there eventually, but I don't have a timeline. Otherwise, it works great on Android. Thankfully, I have Android and iOS devices in the house. The web app obviously works as well. So, you use Reef Swap and Reef mobile app where you can for now. Or the Reef web app, sorry.
Awesome. All right, one last question, and then we can pick some live ones. How does Reef plan to engage and grow its community in the long term? Could you discuss any specific initiatives or programs that encourage community participation in governance, development, and ecosystem growth?
Yeah, so the big one right now is that Reef 1000 Nominators Challenge we went over earlier. We also have a user-generated content campaign. Oh my goodness.
I got a
Sorry.
life hack for you. You gotta put it on the focus mode, and then
Yeah,
calls don't go through.
yeah, I'm doing that now. Okay. So anyway, we have the Reef 1000 Nominators Challenge running right now. We went over that earlier. We're making some headway there after an initial drop, thanks to the news that happened on Monday, or after the news that happened on Monday. So we're making some progress there, which is great. We have a user-generated content campaign happening with Reef Swap. There's been some participants there. Everybody who participates there gets some Pearls tokens, Pearls in the Reef, that I created and have been giving out to those folks. You can also buy them on Reef Swap if you want, but honestly. There's the pool exists for people who want to exit into Reef, not really for people to speculate on it. But there have been people buying pearls as well. Just, I don't know, maybe just because they want to. Those are the big things right now. We'd love to do some more. Obviously, we'd love to do some more with StealthEX and with Fearless Wallet, with other partners, but we can't run too many campaigns at once. So those are the big things right now. Buying Reef and staking it gets you more Reef. You can do that using StealthEX, as we mentioned earlier. We'd love to get Reef listed on some more centralized exchanges for people who are more comfortable using centralized exchanges for whatever reason. But the big things I'm focusing on as the operations lead is really about getting more builders on the chain. So improving our developer documentation. I want to share some more, but I don't want to say things that we don't actually launch, because I see that happen too often, and we've certainly been guilty of it in the past. And so I'm just going to say that I'm talking to community members, I'm talking to the core team about what we can do, and whatever we do produce in the next little bit, when it's ready, it'll get announced.
Fascinating. We're definitely happy to be supporting the initiatives that you guys put out. All right, we still have some time. We might run a little bit more, but let's get some live questions and see someone who has been here since the very beginning. This person has been here since minute 1, I think. Hold on, adding you the speaker, Gray. Gray, you can speak now. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much. Please, am I audible?
Yes.
All right, thank you so much. My question is about the staking program I heard you talking about earlier on. Like, I don't know, like, I want you to, like, okay, like, do we lose our staking rewards and earnings when we unstake Ref token before the stake expires? Because I know there must be a duration for the staking. Then is there a way to boost our earning to more than the percentage APY? And I would also like to know the risks involved. Thank you.
No problem. I didn't quite get the last one, but I'll get you to repeat that in a minute. Pardon me. So, yes, you have to stake at least 25,000 Reef in the past or now, or start a new one now. It has to be active when we reach 1,000 nominators. Obviously, if you unstake before we reach that point, it's going to take us longer to get to 1,000 unique nominators. So, stake at least 25,000. It's got to be active when we hit 1,000. And then you'll be eligible, and just follow through on the other steps in Gleam. So follow Reef, follow Fearless Wallet, bonus points if you follow StealthEX on X, aka Twitter. In terms of boosting the APY, the best way to do that is to stake those Reef, and in Fearless you'll see an option to restake any Reef that you've earned, or to have it paid out to your wallet. The option with higher APY is to restake. So let's say you stake 25,000 today, you get 400 Reef tomorrow. If you're restaking, those 400 Reef will get restaked automatically to your stake. And so now you're staking 25,400. And the next day you'll be 25,801, and then 26,000, 26,202, that sort of thing. So restaking your earned Reef is the best way. That can boost you from let's say 80% APY to 100% APY, potentially. So those numbers are all there in Fearless. And yeah, it definitely makes a difference, especially over a longer period of time, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. Once we reach that 1,000 unique nominators threshold or milestone, if you really want to unstake, That's entirely up to you. There is a 28-day unbonding period, so kind of like a thawing period, and so you'll have to wait 4 weeks before you can actually withdraw them and do what you want with them. Swap them on Reef Swap, sell them for another token, what have you. But that's all protocol level stuff. So yeah, but like I said, if you keep staking after we reach 1,000, we're going to go for more, and there's going to be a much bigger prize. So hopefully you'll stake now, you'll participate, and then you'll stick around for the other milestones.
All right. So, my last question was, the
Yeah,
risks
hold on.
involved. I
Hold
don't
on
know.
a second. Let's keep it to 1 question per person because we kind of want to give everybody a chance. Thank you, Gray, for your question. Let's pick someone else. There's a lot of people with their hands open. This person has been here, I think, since the beginning as well. Ozzy, I think you're the speaker. You can speak. You have to unmute yourself. There's a little microphone on the left side. Yep, there you go.
GM everyone.
We
Hello,
can
hello.
hear you.
Yes. So my question is, what role does your token play in your ecosystem, and what are the benefits of long-term holding of your token?
Wow, that's
Some
that's some
aggressive
intense
barking
background
there.
noise. It sounds like you're slaughtering a pig.
Hello, can
I
you hear me?
explained, yeah. So I definitely explained the role of the token earlier. Swapping or gas fees, staking, governance potentially in the future, etc. In terms long-term benefits, the only one I can speak to specifically without getting into speculation is staking Reef as a validator or as a nominator, and earning more for helping us run and secure the blockchain. The number of Reef staked dropped a little bit earlier this week, but so that actually increased the APY. The fewer Reef staked as a percentage of total supply, the higher the yield is. The more we stake, the more that gets staked, the lower the yield is, because there is less of a need for us to attract more stakers. So regardless, I want to get us to a position where we have thousands of unique nominators and more validator slots. It's really hard to justify adding more validator slots and therefore reducing the amount of Reef each person earns for validating or nominating when we're at the levels we're at right now. But if we can get to 1,500, 2,000, 4,000 unique nominators, now we're talking. Now we can start looking at increasing the active validator set to 24, 25, maybe 30, and going up from there. So yeah, basically you're going to help us grow this thing. You're going to help us take Reef out of the circulating supply, off of exchanges and things like that. And you'll help us secure the blockchain. So that's really important, obviously. And you'll learn more Reef in the process.
Thank you, Ozzy, for your question.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so
Derek, for
much.
the answer.
And enjoy the pork chops and the bacon.
I thought it was dogs barking.
I don't know. I've slaughtered a pig before. That's what it sounded like to me, but maybe it was just dogs barking.
Let's hope it was just barking. No slaughtering going on. Anyways, let's get one more question and then we'll let you go because we're kind of running a bit over time here. Let's pick someone who has been here. Bull Run. This guy has been here since the beginning as well. And I like the name as well. Pretty positive. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for inviting me up to ask my question. My question is regarding the incentives. So, how does Reef incentivize developers and users to adopt its platform? Thank you.
So to be perfectly frank, that's not something we've done a great job at up until now. So that's one of the big things I'm trying to fix now with some discussions I'm having with some community members and the core team. Yeah, we should have grants in place. They've been incredibly difficult to come by. Our CFO is kind of like Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge from A Christmas Carol. He watches the money very, very, very carefully, and wants to make sure we're maximizing our value. So I'm working on that to kind of free up the purse strings a little bit, or get some funds allocated, so like guaranteed towards developers. There's a few different ways we can do that. We're doing things like having the Pearls token available for user-generated content, for content creators to help us spread the word about Reef Swap and things like that. That's more of a fun thing to do, but you can swap those tokens for Reef and obviously sell those Reef for USDT or USDC or something like that if you need the money outside of the Reef ecosystem. That, they're your tokens to do with what you want. I'm not going to stop you from doing that. And otherwise, if to get involved in the ecosystem in general, staking is your best starting point, and you'll stake Reef and you'll earn more Reef for helping us secure the blockchain. So, that's one reason why we're running the 1,000 nominators challenge that we're running right now. It's easy. It doesn't take a lot of time. I know $20 can feel like a lot of money to some people, depending on where you live and the place that you're at in your life. But compared to, a few months ago, it's a lot less money than it was to buy 25,000 Reef. And so I'd say now is probably one of the best times you've ever had to get into the Reef ecosystem and then to start learning and exploring more. So yeah, we're hopefully going to run a variety of programs and campaigns from now until the end of the year that will help, grow the ecosystem. I guess I'll put it that way. And that will bring more incentives and campaigns to incentivize usage and obviously incentivize developers to come over.
Oh, all right, amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Bull Run, for the question. All right, Derek, looks like we've done it. I think we've been pretty comprehensive today. Thank you for coming today. Do you have any final words before we wrap this up?
Just a thank you to everybody who's participated in the 1,000 Nominator Challenge thus far. A really big thank you to all of our community members who have held steady beside us, with us, whenever we've had bad news. I think we can grow. I think we can do good things. I think we can do big things, without relying on a ton of centralized exchanges to do that. They're an important part of the ecosystem. I'm not going to dispute that. I'm not going to, talk bad about them. But to me, the old adage of not your keys, not your coins, very much still holds true. I'm a big self-custody advocate. And, and so, and StealthEX thankfully helps facilitate getting tokens onto the chain without me having to go directly to a centralized exchange. So we'll keep working with you guys, and working with partners that want to work with us and want to grow self-custodial, decentralized applications and DeFi and all the rest.
Fascinating. Well, thank you, Derek. We appreciate you coming for the session today. It was a great session. Thank you for everybody who participated and asked their questions and listened. We will be posting recaps, both voice and text ones, shortly. You may find them on YouTube and our content channels, and I'm sure Reef will be posting a text recap as well that we will be providing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Derek. Let's give the man a round of applause. Well deserved. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for hosting. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.